Hey guys, welcome to my home studio. It's the millionth day of the quarantine, so I still haven't been able to get a haircut. But that's not going to prevent us from deconstructing yet another track. I've got my tea here, so let's hop into Ableton. Alright, so this track, I had a different approach to it. I decided to inspire myself on the words of Eckhart Tolle. So what I did was I had a few snippets that I knew I wanted to use of his speech. And so the first thing I did was
just become aware.
I started to hear what he was saying, and I started playing my guitar, and I came up with this chord progression right here.
Of yourself.
So after this chord progression, I came up with this piano accompaniment. It's just pretty much the same chords as I'm doing on the guitar, but they had like almost like a reggae vibe to it, you know, like chink, chink, chink. And so in the beginning I thought I was gonna make this track a reggae track, but it ended up becoming something else because it wasn't fitting the vibe. So these chords are from Piano 1 from Sound Magic. I really like this library. It's free, so it's definitely worth checking out. I like the way it sounds very much. It kind of fits right in to my style of sound. Okay, so after the guitar, oh right, I still have something else to show you about the guitar, which is, this was pretty much after everything was done. I decided to spice up the guitar a bit more. So after the beat comes in, the guitar is no longer playing the arpeggio, but it's a reversed, it's a mixture between reversed sound of the guitar and the actual playing. So it's this. I don't know if this is clear enough in the final mix, but I like the texture it gives it. It makes it a bit like almost ghostly like, but good ghosts, not the bad ones. Okay, so so this was the basis of the track, and then like I said, at the beginning I was trying to make this into a reggae track, but it just wasn't cutting. It just wasn't working. So I decided to experiment with a different kind of loop. And so I got this loop off from Splice. And I thought, well, this is more the kind of vibe I want. And that's when I picked up the guitar, the bass guitar, and started experimenting with some bass. And I'll deconstruct what's happening on the drums in a second. I'm just going to show you the bass first with the full drums. Okay, so what's happening here in this bass? I recorded the bass using the Helix. Let me know in the comments if you want to know what patch that I used to record this. But for now, I'm not going to show you the patch. I'm just going to show you how I processed it. So this is how it came in. I kind of scoop a bit of the highs because I wanted to have like a very round sound without hearing the strings scratching and stuff like that. But then I found out it was too bassy for the mix, so I had to cut out some of these frequencies, compress it a little bit, compress it a little bit more, and then I added a bit of the saturator just to give it a bit more punch, just to make it cut a bit more through the mix. And because that wasn't enough, I added this layer, which is pretty much has no low end, and it has a guitar rig distortion. Like this is, I think this is an emulation of the Sans Amp pre. I don't know the name of the pre, but sorry, Sans Amp has this pedal, which is a bass pre, and I think they have a guitar version as well. I only know the bass one. So I added this to as you can tell. Let me raise this up a little bit. So this has pretty much no bass. It's just there to give it a bit more crunch and a bit more definition, so it cuts a bit more to the mix, and it's a bit more understandable what the bass is doing. Like a better word. So after that, I knew that I was definitely going to use this loop, but this loop wasn't. It didn't have enough punch. It wasn't powerful enough. So what I decided to do is something that I like to do a lot, which is layering loops with different stuff. So what I did here, first of all, I scooped out the low end on this loop because I wanted to add my own kick. I still have a bit of the punch of the kick on the loop, but then I have this kick, which I draw it in the MIDI. And this side stick was here from the reggae version of it. Because if you remember, I told you I was planning to turn this into a reggae thing, and I had this snare drum on the tree. If you put a kick drum underneath this snare drum, it's a one-drop reggae rhythm right there. So I decided to leave it because I really like the sound of this side stick. Again, I use this a lot. It's a side stick that comes stock with Machine's library. I really like the way it sounds. On the Sans here, I'm sending it to Ableton's stock reverb, and I'm also sending it to the Tall reverb, which I keep on mentioning because it's really, really good. If you guys don't know this plugin, let me open it up. You should definitely check it out, assuming it's still free. If it's not free, it's definitely worth buying. It's really cool. And that's it. I used to have these two hi-hat layers here, but I'm no longer using them. The samplers are even empty, so
Become aware.
This became the final drum groove for the track. Okay, so something that to me is really, really important in this groove, not in the groove, but in the way it sounds. It's this pad that I have here from Labs. Let me play it for you. So if you've been following my track deconstructions, you've noticed that I'm a poor producer. I pretty much only use free stuff, and this is another good example. So this is by a company called Spitfire Audio. They have tons of free libraries, like starting libraries that are extremely good. So these are the ones I have now. They have more, but these are the ones that I actually use. And so they have these pads that are really, really good and really, really useful and usable. You know, I tend to find that a lot of the pads that I have on my libraries, like mainly from Native Instruments and mainly from Native Instruments, most of the pads don't really fit the kind of stuff that I do because, I don't know, the attacks are too slow, and then they have different voicings which make the chords sound weird. These pads, I mean, every time I open this library and I choose one of these pads, it just works with what I'm doing. So I definitely recommend you checking out this from Spitfire Audio, which is really cool. and I think it gives a nice vibe to the track. I mean, it's pretty much just this, the bass, and the drums. There's a little guitar here and there. Yeah. So, let me get this out of the way. So, in terms of guitars, I have the main arpeggio, and then I have the same guitar but reversed mixed with non-reversed, if that makes sense. And then I have this mini lead. I call it a mini lead because it's not really a lead, it's just a slight melody going on there. Again, this was recorded straight in with the Helix. Let me know in the comments if you want me to show the Helix presets. It was recorded wet with some reverb and some delay, but I didn't think it was enough, so I ended up adding a tall reverb. And you've noticed that most of the time, if you've noticed, most of the time I use this plugin as an insert instead of a send. The reason for that is that, to my ears, okay, I know I shouldn't be drinking tea when doing these deconstructions. Lesson learned. To my ears, sometimes it just sounds better. It depends on the context, it depends on what I'm trying to achieve. But in this case, and in many cases, to me it sounds better using it as an insert. Okay, so after that we have Eckhart Tolle's vocal samples.
Moment.
In this case, I didn't use
Just become aware.
the Butch Vig from Waves, which I use a lot on vocals. I just cut out some low end, added some compression to control a bit of the peaks, so it was not all over the place. And again, that's all reverb as an insert.
Become aware of yourself.
And that's it. This is a track deconstruction. I need to tell you that my goal was to make 10 episodes. Let me just quiet Mr. Eckhart Tolle here. My goal was to make 10 episodes and release one track a week, one track plus one video. So my intent was also to keep the compositions simple. I mean, some of them are more elaborate just because they turn out like that naturally. But I didn't make any effort to make elaborate compositions. I just wanted to make something that had a pleasant vibe or an interesting sound to it and that could work on its own. But it didn't necessarily have to be a complex production with lots of sounds and lots of arrangements. And just to keep things simple and to be able to respect my deadlines and have one track coming out every week. So that's it from my part. This is a track deconstruction. Let me know in the comments if you want to know more stuff in detail, if you want to see the Helix presets, if you want to see what I did in the mastering stage. I didn't do much in the mastering stage, so maybe that's not my area to explore. But anyway, thanks for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a pleasure sharing my knowledge with you guys. And if you have any tips on what I'm doing, if you have any tips on how I could improve my mixes, my production, or even these videos, please don't feel shy and let me know in the comments. All right? See you next week, guys. Bye.